Do you remember back when I was stabbed? By Volron?
Yeah. I thought for sure that he had killed you back there.
That wasn't the first time.
Huh?
The first time was when I was only a child. After that, no matter how often, I just couldn't die.
Couldn't die? So you're immortal? How's that even...
I believe you, Xion. But tell me how is something like that possible?
My thorns. They're me, but at the same time not. They're part of me. I have no idea why, but my thorns will never let me die. At least not before I'm meant to.
You can't die before your death?
When my thorns free themselves, it will be my death. I've seen it. A darkness that swallows up everything until nothing remains. It's a vision of oblivion I can't escape. I want to believe it's all just a bad dream. But no matter what I tell myself, I know it's not.
Yeah, but you... Wait. The whole reason you needed the Renaissance was to get rid of your thorns, right?
If I burn away what's inside, then what will happen to the rest of me? Right. Either way you look at it, I'm going to die. But if I am going to die, I figure I can at least take my thorns out with me. That's what I've been after this whole time.
That's why you turned your back on your fellow Renans and chose to fight with us, isn't it? And while we've all been fighting to keep on living, you have been with us fighting desperately to die.
That was the plan. But then I met all of you. And before I knew it, I didn't want to die anymore.
Xion, don't lose hope yet. We'll find a way to save you. There's still time to.
It's pointless.
Why?
Because the darkness won't just consume me. The truth is, it will consume all of existence as well. It was only a suspicion at first, but ever since the Red Woman triggered my maiden powers, I've been more certain than ever before. It was then that I finally came to realize my powers were holding my thorns in check the entire time. But they don't anymore. Not since Lenegis, when the wedge fell. Every day, I feel the thorn's power growing stronger inside of me. Pretty soon, I won't be able to hold them back anymore. And when that happens,
They will consume all existence.
And that's why you wanted to leave by yourself. You planned to find the Renaissance on your own and sacrifice yourself to stop the thorns.
but that's too much. It's way too much. When this all began, I didn't care what happened to me or anyone else. And what happened to the Renans or the Danans didn't matter to me at all. I know I have to die, but I don't want to. Not now that I have this. I wish we had never met. Then I wouldn't have to feel this way.
Xion!
Alvin?
Living for the sake of dying. is no better than being a slave. How can you endure this?
Alvin.
It's not fair. I don't care what anybody says. I won't let it happen! We can fight this! Fight until the end together. Isn't that what you said to me before?
Even if it should mean that it'll be the end of everything else, too?
Shion, what do you want? It's your decision, ultimately. But if you decide not to fight fate, I will. Even if I have to do it alone.
No, you won't be alone. I'll fight as well.
Count me in as well. I want to be a force for good, not hate.
And me too. I meant it with all of my heart when I told you before. Neither of you are alone in this at all.
You guys...
And I, for one, don't believe this venture is without hope.
Huh?
Shion is the descendant of a maiden from 300 years ago. Given the circumstances, the end of the world.
I believe Shion is telling the truth. What about you?
As a friend, yes, I want to believe her. Everything that's happened seems to point towards some sort of great danger that's lurking ahead of us. Still, it's hard to fathom something that could usher outright doom to the world. That those really are the stakes we face.
No, I understand. Even Shion doesn't seem to know exactly what will happen to bring it all about.
We have so many pieces of the puzzle in our hands, so many clues, yet the complete picture eludes us.
So where do her thorns fit in, then?
Well, I imagine they must sit at the very center of it all. You remember the voice we all heard while we were inside the wedge, don't you?
Yeah, I remember. It was the will of Dana's astral energy come to life. Or that's what we all thought.
Right. Let's return.
So, but what?
As for that,
You know,
can you when one especially
Dohali?
I imagine as for
seem to cause nothing but worry. As much as I try to look like I have things under control, everyone still worries about me.
You're not the only one.
Hey, do you remember the first time you said I was your friend?
No? When was that? Sorry, I can't remember.
That's okay. It came so naturally to you, I'm not surprised you forgot. I was different back then. The Danans were not even people to me, and I knew I would always be alone. But in that room with Deadheim, when you called me your friend, it just shattered the wall that I'd built up around me. Because until that moment, I'd only seen you as a means to an end. I thought of you as a way to use the Blazing Sword, and to obtain the Renis Alma. But after that day, one time became two, and before I knew it, you'd made a habit of calling me and Dohalim your friends. It didn't matter that we were Renans. You cared about us as you would any other people. Then, everyone else started to call me their friend too, to think of me as their friend. Before then, I never even dreamed I could have that. I didn't want to die and lose you all. But I also didn't want to live if it meant you would all die in my place.
Shion.
But then I realized I'd only really been thinking of myself that entire time. After saying how I felt, and hearing what you all had to say, I finally understood that. Don't worry, it's okay. I'm not planning on dying anymore. I've met too many people along the way who I truly care about to give in now. So I'll fight. For Dana and for myself. I'll fight against my fate to preserve our future. And I'll win, come hell or high water. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I won't let the world end because of me.
It's going to be a long, hard road ahead, Shion. Our fight won't be over until everyone, both Danans and Renans, can finally live in peace. But I swear I'll be there with you, until the very end.
Thank you.
Remember what we learned back in Calaglia? There's no wall so high that we can't break it down.
Yeah, I think you may be right about that.
Everyone well rested? Then let's go. We depart for Lenegis.
Well, it's the moment of truth.
This lady better hold together once we're up in the air.
Law, don't say that! You're going to jinx us!
Speaking of which, Alphen, this bucket of bolts got a name?
A name? You know, I'm not sure she ever had one. I never really thought about it.
Well, after all the trouble we went through to find her, we should give her one, right? I was thinking something like...
Fall Knights.
Huh?
It means owl in the ancient tongue. Literally, the one drawn to the skies.
I like it. Sounds perfect for our little escapade.
Not sure I'm completely convinced, but... well, it's as good a name as any. From now on, she'll be known as the Fall Knights.
Okay, people. We have two goals. First, we need to get to Lenegis and make the Renans finally leave Dana alone. And then, we need to figure out the truth behind Shion's thorns and find a way to save her. Sound good? All right, then let's go.
You know, I can still hardly believe it.
Believe what?
I mean, just look at it. The whole of existence, crammed inside a tiny frame.
Now that you mention it, I guess you're right. It does look more like a painting than a living, breathing world.
From up here, all the struggles we've been through feel so insignificant.
Nothing like realizing how small you are to put everything into perspective. Kinda makes the differences between the Renans and the Danans feel pretty small too, huh?
How much longer until we reach Lenegis?
There are better ways to use your time than napping. We should take a moment to familiarize ourselves with the facilities on board before arrival.
Good idea. The starship may end up serving as our base of operations once we're down there. Think you'll be all right with the controls?
You mean the one set to automatic pilot? I dare say I'll manage. I'm basically just here to supervise.
In that case, she's all yours.
Everything okay, Shion? You seem a little different.
Different? Like in a bad way different?
No, not at all. You seem more driven lately, like you found a zest for life. It suits you.
Is something wrong?
No. I was merely thinking how it had been 7 years, that's all.
You mean since you became a lord and left Lenegis? I guess even someone like you can get homesick, huh?
I am as prone to sentimentality as any other. Tell me, though, you too have a history with Lenegis. A traumatic one, no less. This trip will probably mean facing up to some difficult emotions. Doesn't that frighten you?
Well, it is a place where I took the lives of countless people. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it. But I can't keep running forever. The past is what it is. There's no changing that. But the future's what we make it.
I see.
Dohalim?
Forgive me. I was wrong to pry. We have more pressing matters to address. Come back and speak to me when you finish looking around the ship.
We'll be going to Lenegis soon.
This must feel like a homecoming of sorts to you, huh? What was life on Lenegis like back then? You know, before you came to Dana.
Let's just say, I don't have many happy memories. I've had thorns my whole life, for as long as I can remember. They called it treatment, but in truth, they were just using me as a guinea pig for their research.
You mean, they experimented on you?
That's right. All I was to them was a riddle to solve. They poked and prodded me, trying to figure out what triggered my thorns or changed the form they took. Day in and day out, every single day, one test after another. I'm still surprised they didn't try to dissect me. The look they gave me whenever one of them touched my skin. How could I forget it? Reeling from the pain, like I was a monster or something. Some existence, huh? A blight on any I touched. Helplessly complicit in their pain. I thought things couldn't get any worse. But then they did. I started to have nightmares, visions of the coming apocalypse. Is it any wonder I lacked a cheery disposition? Unable to so much as touch another soul. Loneliness was my best friend. Sure, I survived, but with the knowledge that one day I'd be swallowed up by oblivion. And that's when it hit me. If I was going to die, then it should mean something. If I have to sacrifice myself to save the world, so be it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you relive that.
No, it's fine. I'm in a much better place now.
You say it's your destiny to die so that others can live. But why not the other way around? Why shouldn't we be the ones dying to save you?
Are you crazy? Why would you sacrifice your life for...
That's exactly my point. Why should you have to give up your life just because you drew the short straw in the destiny stakes? How is that even right? It's that logic that's used to justify slavery, as if some of us were just meant to be sacrificed. This struggle was never about saving only ourselves. But that doesn't mean we have to give up our own lives to save everyone else's either. If we're doing this to protect people, if we're doing this to save the world from destruction, then that has to include saving each other as well.
A world free of sacrifice. That's what you've been fighting for all along, isn't it?
Not just me. We're in this together, remember? This fight is yours too, Xion. If we're going to win, everyone has to win. There can be no room for losers in this fight. Now I see it. The true nature of our struggle.
A victory without losers. But that means that a Dahnan victory over Rena can't be the end. Do you think we can pull it off?
You bet we can pull it off. We have to. It's the only hope we have of things ever changing.
Yeah, you're right. No one's ever changed the future without aiming for the stars. We can do this. Together.
Alvin, listen to this! So Law and I were just talking and...
Hey, shut up!
What's got Law all flustered?
Only that he's afraid of flying, the big baby. And after all that fuss he made about naming the ship, too.
Hey, I never said I was scared. I just think it's, a little unsettling how we're going to be cruising through space in a glorified tin can. That's all.
It's a starship, dummy. That's what it's supposed to do. I don't think there's anything strange about it.
Well, maybe you're the one with the problem then.
Guys. I'm no expert, but I think we can trust Renan technology. It got me to Dana in one piece, remember?
Oh, that's a good point. If you think so, Alvin, it must be okay. Don't you agree, Law?
Hard to argue with that, seeing how you hitched a ride in one of these things before, Alvin. It's just wrong, okay?
You okay? Feeling airsick?
Actually, now that you mention it, not at all. These starships are a remarkably smooth ride, all things considered. Nothing like being at sea, thank goodness.
Glad to hear it. That device there caught your eye, huh?
I was just wondering what it is. It looks big enough to fit a person inside of it.
It's a healing pod. It fixes injuries and illnesses.
Oh, you don't say. That should definitely come in handy if any of us get injured while we're down there. Alphen? Was it something I said?
No, I was just thinking back to when I escaped Lenegis, that's all. What with the ceremony and losing control, I was a total mess. Naori laid me inside here.
So, you're saying you got in this thing straight after escaping? But that'd mean... you were inside for 300 years?
Yes, it sounds crazy, I know. But don't even ask me why I stayed asleep all that time.
That's definitely quite some lie-in, all right. But still, whether you meant to or not, I sure am glad that it's this century that you finally woke up in.
What do you mean?
With the amount of fighting we've done, we would have never made it this far without you. And not only that, but... Alphen, can you recall back to what it is that I said to you? Back when we left Menancia? About the dream of coexistence, and needing to learn what it entailed?
Of course. That's why you came with us, right? To learn what you couldn't at home.
Even in that time, I was well aware that what I was living was a lie. But at the same time, I also felt really compelled to fulfill my brother's wishes. I'll always remember him fondly. But the coexistence we're fighting for isn't for him. It's for people now, and those still to come. The world's bigger than just Menancia. My dream is for all Danans, wherever they might be, to be free. If I've learned anything on this journey, it's that. And the one who brought me along was you, Alphen. I'll forever be grateful to you.
Well, we're not out of this forest just yet. You should probably save your thanks. At least, until we've dealt with the Red Woman.
I know. But whatever we find when we get down there, I'm through looking the other way.
Kisara.
Probably getting a little ahead of myself, huh? Let's take things one step at a time.
Is everyone about ready? We'll soon be making preparations to land.
Before we do that, just what exactly should we expect when we get down there?
Kisara has a point. Now that I think of it, I don't know the first thing about Lenegis.
I'd like to hear more too. It's been centuries since I was last there, and they didn't exactly give me the grand tour.
Very well. First and foremost, Lenegis was the base of operations in charge of the crown contest on Dana. Of course, it also happens to be a city in its own right, complete with its own independent society. Its social structure is based on a strict hierarchy. Put simply, the strength of an individual's astral arts carries great weight.
Enough to determine someone's social rank, you mean? But astral arts are innate, right? So people's positions are fixed at birth.
They can be honed with the right training, and there are admittedly other factors at play. But yes, that's basically the gist. As a result, family lines that churn out lords and their contenders wield disproportionate influence, and those lineages are treated as nobility.
Those capable of only weak astral arts are effectively an underclass, denied the right to descend to Dana even if they wanted to. Still, even the lowest rung on the Renin ladder is considered superior to being a Danan. Keep that in mind down there.
Thanks for the warning. As a lord, Dohalim must have been pretty high up in the pecking order, right? What about you, Shion?
Come on, you've seen her skill with astral arts. You really need to ask?
Fair point.
On arts alone, you're right. I'd have been sitting pretty. But you're forgetting my thorns. They weren't exactly an invitation to high society.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's refreshing to be around someone who says what they're thinking. Life's less complicated that way.
Jeez, give backhanded compliments much?
Wait a second. Are you? He is! Lost blushing!
I am not!
Of course, separating people into castes based on something arbitrary like arts is discrimination at its worst. As if such simplistic criteria could ever be a measure of someone's worth.
So this Red Woman, are we expecting to find her on Lenegis?
I would wager so. Lenegis is too deeply involved in all this to discard the possibility. Chances are she's also connected to the Renis Alma being stolen from us in Pelegion.
If the Renis Alma is being used to exploit Dana, we need to take it back at all costs.
That Red Woman's got a lot to answer for. Just as well I've got a ton of questions.
We're about to land. The descent could be a little bumpy, so brace yourselves.
If there are clues about your thorns out there, Shion, we'll find them. There's no one here. I wasn't expecting a welcome mat, but still.
Lenegus's infrastructure is largely automated. Besides, people won't be expecting incoming traffic while the crown contest is still underway.
Do you think anyone realizes that we're here?
We may not have received a royal welcome, but I doubt our entrance went unnoticed. Don't let your guard down.
I really hope we don't have to fight anybody while we're here.
So now what? We've come all this way on a hunch that this red woman is here, right? And if we're lucky, the Renis Alma too. Any idea where we should start looking?
There is an area of the city that is accessible only to the sovereigns, known as the Forbidden Zone. That seems as good a place as any for us to start.
Forbidden? What are they hiding?
I don't know, hence my desire to find out. Fortunately, we just so happen to have a sovereign in our midst. In any case, changing the shape of a huge structure such as Lenegus would have required an immense source of power.
Then you think that source might have been the Renis Alma?
Precisely. Alphen said that he remembered the Renis Alma being used in the spirit channeling ceremony 3 centuries ago. Whatever the ceremony's purpose, if preparations are underway for it to be held once more, then the Renis Alma might be in the same place as last time, possibly together with the Red Woman. Hiding something of that worth in the residential quarters would only court trouble. In which case...
It stands to reason we should be looking somewhere normally out of bounds. Is that it?
Indeed.
But it's been over 300 years since I was made a sovereign. You can't seriously think I'll be able to waltz right into the place after all this time.
There's only one way to find out. If there's even a chance you can get us in, I say we give it a shot.
Shion's right. Who knows? We might even find a clue to her thorns while we're at it.
All right. It's not like we're swimming in leads, so let's try to track down the Forbidden Zone. Beyond that wall... lies a city full of Renins. A capital city where Shion and Dohalim used to live, no less. Who knows what...
What in the world?
This being Renin territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior, too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, locating the Forbidden Zone just became that much trickier.
Dohalim? Is that you?
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people!
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana, then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim, don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself, okay, Do?
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lenegis are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dana.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Danans poking their noses around.
Good idea. I think that's for the best.
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two. The Danans among us should probably keep our heads down.
What if people freak out?
I shall explain it away by saying I'm leading you.
What are we, dogs?
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city. Even the Zeugles have stopped heeding our commands. Whatever did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary for us to know. We have no choice but to grin and bear it. But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I believed he was on Dana.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty, the details of which I cannot divulge.
As your lordship wishes. First, Lenegis mutates beyond recognition. Now, this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plans are inscrutable indeed. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praying for your victory in the latest crown contest.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Your lordship! Oh, what a great honor it is to finally meet you. I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red. Have you seen anyone of that description?
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time. Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home, is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard, you were in Dana competing in the crown contest.
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here, with what looks to be an entrance in it. I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters, but I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renin, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to this city after all. They haven't heard the news about the crown contest either.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth, that Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenegis?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegus.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegus alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegus has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegus has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegus single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenegus from so far away? What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenegus. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign, though it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent. As for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegus. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made Sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 Sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganeth Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we need to go.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction. Let's go find it!
With nobody left to run the show, I wonder what the people here are supposed to do.
I but
It-
falls now.
To us,
If and luckily.
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed, the effects of Lenegis' transformation appear to be less pronounced here. Or, viewed another way, this area was simply luckier.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfricht Milgras, the former lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfricht whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegis?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegis from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be—
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renin by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Doe?
Faria.
Varia? Isn't that the person that Avakir guy was—
But why are you here? Wait, don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dana already. Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnigan to secure your position as Lord, you still—
Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Danon rock, you haven't changed one bit. But let me tell you, I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Sure, that's it. Run away like always. You don't even have the courage to die. No wonder you leave it to someone else. You're just a coward!
Dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
Is it true? What she said about you killing someone?
Each of us have our pasts. I am no exception.
Before, back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest, and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
Wow, this place is beautiful!
Yeah, it must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the locals.
You think? Man, these Renan sure know how to live it up, don't they?
Is something the matter, Dohalim?
Before I went down to Dana, my friends and I, we used to gather at this very spot and play music together. Avakir, Faria, and Tarnigan. That was a lifetime ago now.
Tarnigan. He was the one that Faria mentioned, right?
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed. Despite Faria's lower-class upbringing, she possesses a tremendous talent for music. Entranced by her playing, I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority and introduced her to Tarnigan and Avakir. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only by their love of music, with no care for social standing. Only the next song, the next melody,